Hello, and welcome to the Logcast. Thank you so much for joining us this week. I'm your host, Clay, and today I'm also joined by my co-hosts, Dave and Jeff. How's it going, guys?
It's going great.
Pretty good here.
Good. You guys enjoying your weekend so far?
So far, so good.
Yeah, not much has happened yet. Probably even less for Jeff, being a West Coaster.
Yeah.
Did you guys do anything exciting Friday night, by chance?
Well, as it was Cinco de Mayo, I made homemade tacos, but that was literally it.
I had the most exciting Friday night ever.
I don't believe you.
I spent like 3 hours reading Star Wars Thrawn.
Wow, that is exciting.
I woke up early today and finished the whole thing.
Wow.
That's my exciting weekend, is reading a Star Wars novel.
Woo.
Yeah.
It was really good. I don't know how many of our fans also cross over into the Star Wars fandom, but if so, you should read that.
Probably quite a few.
Yeah, I would guess a lot.
That's nice. Cool. Well, I made the mistake of having White Castle for dinner last night, and so I was woken up at about 7:30 with extreme stomach pain. So I should have learned my lesson, but I keep going back. So anyway, so what else you guys been doing this week besides eating White Castle? You been playing any sweet video games?
Well, as a matter of fact, I have been playing some sweet video games. I'm now that I sort of at least completed the majority of Yooka, I've been getting back at all the Switch games I've bought, but I haven't given enough time. So Mario Kart Deluxe came out. Primarily been playing that, but I've also played a bit of Super Bomberman R and a little bit of Puyo Puyo Tetris and Binding of Isaac, but primarily Mario Kart. Got 50cc, got all gold, all 3 stars, and I'm working on getting 100cc, all gold, all stars. And then I'll move on from there.
You know, if you just go to 150 and you get those, then it gives you everything underneath it.
Wait, what?
Really?
Yeah, you don't have to do what you're doing.
Dude.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Seems unfair.
Because I've just been starting at 150, and I've just been 3-starring them, and it does it for everything below it.
Wow.
That doesn't seem...
I think it's nice.
Yeah.
Makes sense, but I'm not sure if I like that.
Yeah, because I don't think it used to be that way.
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I could have sworn that's how it worked, but maybe I'm wrong. Sorry.
What happens if you do it at 200cc, if that gives you everything?
I don't know. It's a good question. I'm gonna hit mirroring next because I haven't done those yet. But I just 3-starred, or at least 1-starred all of 150. So sorry, I'm jumping ahead.
It's alright. Mario Kart.
What about you, Jeff?
Let's see. I've been playing Rocket League per my old habits.
Yes.
Quite a bit of that this week, and really enjoying that again. Been really trying to finish up Yooka-Laylee, but I think I may have hit the major glitch in the game, in the World 4. So,
oh no.
Yeah, I've got 2 pages that I cannot find anything else, so I'm not 100% sure on that, but it seems like it. And then, for whatever reason, my sister-in-law and I played the co-op of Epic Mickey 2 this week.
Nice.
Yeah, and that's fun. It's got a lot of the same problems that Yooka-Laylee has. I think it was another game that was just kind of rushed out the door and not quite finished. It's got camera issues, it's got some control issues, and some weird like clipping glitches and stuff. So it's a fun game, but it's unfortunately not polished.
Yeah, I haven't played the second one. I do own it on the Wii U, but I haven't played it yet. But I played the majority of the first one on the Wii.
Yeah.
Really, I liked the art style and like kind of what the whole feel of it, but as a game as a whole, it was okay. But
exactly.
I was like super stoked when I first heard about it and was seeing all the concept art and stuff for it. But it's cool. It's a cool idea. I'm glad they did it. And the co-op thing for the second one sounds pretty cool. So maybe one day I'll find someone to play through it with.
I've never had an
There you go.
opportunity to play either. They look really cool, but then I always see the mediocre reviews, and I'm unsure.
Yeah, I mean, you like Yooka-Laylee, so you should like Pick Mickey, because I know you like Disney like I do. But it's a matter of a very broken camera and some kind of wonky controlling, which isn't terrible, but it's not like it doesn't seem polished. It just seems rushed for both. The second one's a little bit better than the first one, especially with a dual analog controller rather than the Wii pointer, but because you can control the camera. But I actually didn't play it on the Wii or Wii U or whatever, the second one, so I'm not 100% sure how the camera even controls. But without two sticks, I can't imagine it's super intuitive.
Right.
More of just get behind Mickey and yeah. So anyway, fun little game. I mean, I enjoyed it the first time through. I played it solo, but yeah, that's it. How about you, Clay? What have you been playing?
Well, I've also been playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. That was hard to say. It's like one of the few games that my wife really enjoys playing, and so we've been playing that together, and so that's been fun. We had a get together with some friends the other day, so we played that, and then we played Runbow for the Wii U. I'm assuming you guys haven't played that, but
Nope.
love that game. It's so much fun, and I hadn't played it in a while, and so we got it out, and there was like 5 of us playing, and it was super awesome. It was like 4 of us against one person with the Wii U pad, and they just try to stop you from getting to the end, and you're platforming, and it's not the main cool. It's not the main point of the game, but it's like a side thing you can do. But yeah, it's super fun, and so we were just like screaming our heads off trying to beat the guy with the gamepad and stuff, and it's so much fun. I wish that game got better recognition for it. I mean, it's an indie game, and it did kind of come out late in the Wii U life cycle, but I know they've talked about doing a sequel, so I really hope that they can get like a physical copy on Switch at some point, because it deserves a lot more praise than it gets. But we also played a little Rocket League that night, but we didn't play too much. And then I also beat Yooka-Laylee, I believe, last week. I wasn't able to record with you guys, but I did beat it that week, and so I did struggle with the final boss, but once I did beat it, I felt like I, earned it. It was a tough battle, but I'm glad it was, and it wasn't like super easy. So, but yeah, so I haven't 100%ed it, but I'm working towards, kind of cleaning it up and getting everything else that I need to be, so I can be done with it. But yeah, so that's what I've been playing.
Nice.
Good stuff. All right, well, let's go ahead and jump right into the news. All right, so we got a couple things here to talk about this morning in the news. Dave, do you want to go ahead and start off?
Absolutely. For everyone who is whining about Yooka-Laylee, there's a patch in the works to address some camera issues that, to be honest, there are some, and they do annoy me too. But so they kind of addressing that head on, which I think is a good thing. No mention of the infamous World 4 glitch yet, but I'd be very surprised if that wasn't going to be addressed in this patch in some form.
I did see unofficially, well, I don't know, unofficially, somebody had reached out to Team 17 via direct message on Twitter, and they did reply about it and said that Playtonic is working to fix that. But it's weird that Playtonic themselves didn't mention it in their update.
Right. I think I mentioned before, maybe it's just like, it's somewhat embarrassing glitch, and
yeah,
this throwing it right out in an official press release probably isn't a good idea. I'm sure that when they fix it, they'll say it in the patch notes, playing like, fix World 4 glitch that can prevent getting all pages or something like that, but I don't think they're going to throw it right out in a press release like that.
So do you guys think it'll work backwards? Like, if, like, say for Jeff, who is pretty sure that he's, screwed, do you think it'll fix it, or do you think you'll just have to start over?
I think they'll be able to fix it because they can tell by the game's save state what objectives you've beat. So just based on that, it should be able to calculate how many pages and or tokens you should have, but
like
not
user
100%
has X
sure.
amount of coins, but only X amount of pages.
It shouldn't
equal
be
grant
too
user
hard
extra
to
PG or something like
yeah
that. You know?
to retrofit it or whatever. But
Mhm.
hopefully, we'll see.
Okay. Did they mention anything else that they were adding or fixing, Dave?
Yeah,
You
they
just
were
mentioned,
adding
like,
some very awesome pause music. This is one of those things I actually didn't realize was missing. But as soon as I saw the footage with the pause music on, I was like, "Oh my god, how did they not put that in the first time?"
Yeah.
Because
So,
it was
I'm
rushed
very
to
happy about that.
release.
Yeah. They also talked about they're going to add an option where you can skip dialogue and
Yep,
cutscenes.
that's correct. For
Which will be good
speedrunners.
for speedrunners and people like me who are trying to go back and get footage and don't want to sit through a bunch of dialogue all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it seems like it's going to probably be a very important patch once it launches. And,
Definitely.
I was kind of hoping that it would launch sooner rather than later, before we started really in depth talking about it, because now we're going to be talking about the pre-patched version, and because I feel like I'm hoping that maybe your guys' opinions of it would go up. Not that you guys dislike it, but get maybe closer to mine once the camera issues are resolved. Because it seems like that's your guys' biggest complaint. So
I'll play through it again with the patch and see.
Hmm?
Sorry, I'll play through it again when the patch comes out and see if if it does enough to alleviate my concerns.
Yep. Because
but we'll see.
We'll see. I'm already in love with it, so it's only going to make me love it more. And I think that's it for the patch, unless there was something else on there that I forgot.
No, I think that was everything they mentioned. So.
Yep. So with that, the next bit of news was the weekly video from Rare. It was another tavern talk, and this one was a special one because it was Craig Duncan and Xbox head Phil Spencer. Just kind of an open, very frank discussion about Sea of Thieves from kind of concept to today, and how Rare has involved the community in it, and different long-term goals as far as supporting it in a similar manner to Minecraft, which is cool to hear them say that, because that's something that I've been sort of predicting / saying since the beginning, that it seems like it's more of a game as a service type, long-term project than just a, get it to release date and let it go. It was pretty cool. I don't know that there was a whole lot of new insight in it per se. I mean, I'm sure there was some new tidbits in there, but it was just it was interesting hearing the I don't know how you wanted to describe it, but the people in charge of Xbox, Phil, and what he sees coming out of Rare, and how he supports the team. He was talking about how when they were kind of doing the first pitch, it was very much him trusting in them and trusting in their creative endeavors rather than trying to give them direction or tell them what to do. So it was cool to see that reiterated, that he supports the team and their creative design. Kind of, one of the common misconceptions about the post buyout era is that for some reason people seem to think that Xbox heads and the people in Redmond just kind of tell Rare what to do rather than just supporting what Rare pitches to them. So it was refreshing. And I mean, not a whole lot more than that. It was pretty cool. Definitely worth checking out. It's about 12 minutes, but definitely a good open discussion between the two heads of their respective things.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. It at least painted a picture of things being good on their end and them being on the same page with everything. So hopefully that's how it actually is, but it seems healthy, and so I'm hoping for big things in the next couple months with E3 coming up. I think hopefully there'll be some big news and some big promises made, hopefully. So
yep, definitely hoping that too.
Cool.
All right. Yeah, so another Sea of Thieves bit of news. Normally on Wednesday they have a weekly alpha that they do during the day, and for whatever reason that was pushed back to today, Saturday. So they, for whatever reason, just couldn't make it work. I know they had some issues. Was it the week before?
Yeah.
With the Wednesday one, and so yeah, it's today, and I think it's about 6 hours, which is almost double what we're basically double what we're used to on a Saturday. So I don't know if I'll get to play today or not. I got a lot to do, and Sea of Thieves just seems to eat my Saturdays away in a good way. But hopefully I can at least get on for a little bit and see what's going on.
All right, and the last bit of news was Rare posting a kind of a artist spotlight on one of their concept artists, Ricardo Robles, and it was about him making a new prop blunderbuss for their tavern. The article kind of goes through his creative process with doing it, and talking about how it's fun to do concept art, but to actually make something in 3D just based on the designs was really fun. Essentially, he kind of went through and got the printouts of the concept art, and then did some outlines on foam core and layered to make it 3D, and sculpted a little bit, and then glued it together, sanded it down, painted it, and he was talking about how it wasn't meant to look like a one-to-one replica per se of a real blunderbuss, but that it was very stylized in the Sea of Thieves look, and it turned out great. It looks amazing. So the article itself is posted on the Sea of Thieves website. You can find links to that on Rare's social media, and it's definitely worth checking out. It's a cool kind of behind-the-scenes, step-by-step process with pictures and things like that. So pretty cool thing, and hopefully they'll do more little spotlights like that in the future.
Yeah, I was surprised how big that thing was, just actually seeing it, next to somebody in real life. Because I'm assuming they have the scale,
Yeah.
like what it is in the game. So I guess I didn't realize how big that thing was until you kind of see him holding it or whatever. And then they made like a little stand for it because it's so massive. So
yeah, it turned out great. It looks awesome.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so check that out. Good stuff. All right, well, I think that's all the news we had for this week. Not a whole lot going on, but it is what it is. So let's go ahead and jump right into our main topic. All right, so this week is part 2 of our in-depth look at Yooka-Laylee. And so this week we are taking a in-depth look at World 2, Glitterglaze Glacier, which is a little bit of a mouthful. It's kind of difficult to say.
That 10 times fast now.
Yeah. So, just a quick heads up at the beginning here. If you haven't played through this and fully experienced the level, you might want to hold off until after you've, expanded and explored, because we will probably be going over some spoiler things and possibly even mentioning some things that you may or may not unlock later on in the game. So just warning you, letting you know. We're just going to kind of go through this little bit by bit and try to kind of discuss and give our thoughts on what we thought of certain things. So I was thinking to start us off, we could just kind of give our overall impressions of the level without going too in depth. Just, kind of whether or not you like it or not, maybe 1 or 2 things you do like about it, but we'll keep it super light to start off. So to go ahead and get going, Dave, why don't you start us off with your initial thoughts?
I really love this level. I think I've said it a couple times that, initially the first time I was slightly underwhelmed with World 1. I ended up really loving it later on. But World 2, just the first time you enter the world, it has that sort of wow moment visually and musically and everything. And I think it's the best visually and from a musical standpoint. I just love the way everything looks and feels and all that. It is a little bit confusing to navigate at first, I think. It seems, because a lot of times there's just so much snow that it's hard to keep track of where one snowy part is and the other part isn't. But I found after a little bit of sort of getting around, I don't find myself getting lost anymore. It doesn't seem anywhere near as confusing as 2E's levels were. But Yeah, I think this is my favorite level. I know you guys disagree with that, but there's just something about its charm that I really like. And the expanded version is amazing.
Yeah,
that's it for my initial thoughts.
Yeah, I really liked the level too. At very first, I was a little afraid it was going to be kind of 2E-esque, a little bit too expansive, and too many corridors and openings that you're not sure what goes where. But in the end, like especially once you get the flying move, like it's a really cool level, and I absolutely love the art direction of it. The bright, vibrant, warm hues of whatever, like the sunset type look mixed with the cools of the ice and snow. I like that. And then the music was very pleasant. It wasn't quite as memorable as like Freeze Easy Peak or those, but in the grand scheme, it was a very good accentuating piece that just kind of complemented the level, and I enjoyed it.
Awesome. Yeah, I really enjoyed this level. I don't know if it's my favorite. In fact, I don't even know which one's my favorite. I don't think I've fully figured that out yet. But I think I even remember telling you guys when I first played it, like, wow, level 2 is a lot more... I think I said it was more difficult than level 1. I don't know if I still think that or not, but I think I just remember that was kind of like my initial, thought when I was first playing it. Was like, wow, this is a step up from, level 1 or whatever. And I think it's definitely bigger, like long ways maybe than level 1, whereas level 1's more vertical and stuff. So I think this one was more them kind of exploring farther distances and all that. So I think the music's great in this level. In fact, it's probably one of my favorite songs. But other than that, there's certain things about it that aren't great, and I agree with Dave. I think it is maybe a little bit confusing to navigate at first, but for the most part now, I think I've pretty much got it all mapped out in my head. I think some of the later levels might be a little more confusing than this, but overall, I think it's a good second level. It's strong. I like snow a lot, so I'm a big fan. So yeah, that's that. We already kind of touched a little bit on it, but I figured we'd just kind of bring up the music one more time. I'll start off just by saying it's not your typical snow level music, which I always really appreciated about it. Like, I think the brass and the French horns in it really kind of make it more majestic and kind of like sound like royalty or something. I don't know. I think
majestic,
yeah. And so I appreciated that about it, that it wasn't just sleigh bells and Christmas music the whole time, that there was a little bit more, thought put into it. But I don't know. I don't know if you guys fully agree with that or not. But
yeah, it's
absolutely.
I love the song, and I don't know if you remember reading. I think there was a Twitter exchange where Grant said he had wrote a different tune for it before the level was complete, and then Andy had suggested that he write a new one because it had changed so much, and then he was kind of resistant to it at first, but then he did it, and then now it's his favorite one, and I think it's the best one in the game. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I hadn't heard that, because somebody yesterday on Twitter asked him if he had any like unused music that he would share, kind of like what he did with Banjo-Kazooie, and he said that he couldn't think of any unused tracks. So that's interesting. I wonder if he just kind of reworked the one he was working on.
I think the original one is still out there. I think.
Okay.
Because I think he posted a clip of that one like way long time ago.
Oh, that does sound kind of familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We'll have to double check on that.
Yeah.
Like, cool. I had honestly, until I had read that tweet exchange, I had assumed it was like the same thing that was in the game. And I was like, oh, wait, so maybe that original ice theme I heard way long time ago was actually slightly different.
Yeah, we'll have to go back and check. But I really like how it turned out. Just kind of exactly what Clay said. Like, it's just majestic, and it gives you this sense of wonder and adventure. That's not quite as, like you said, Christmassy and jingle belly. It's I don't know what else to say about it. It's a great little tune.
Agreed. Starting off, you kind of start out in a cave, and then you kind of make your way through, and it opens up a bunch more, and not far into the level, like most of them, you come across Trouser, where he has more moves for us to unlock. Jeff, do you wanna kind of talk about the different moves that you can unlock in this stage?
Sure. So the two newly offered moves, I guess, are the Slurp State, which allows Yuka to stick out his tongue and lick certain objects to gain their physical properties. So kind of one of the first ones that you can do is licking a fire pit, and we might talk more about this a little bit down the road in the episode, but just as an example, you lick a fire pit and you kind of turn orange and are resistant to cold because you're warmed up. And then I guess the other one is the Lizard Leap, which is the high jump. It's kind of a combination of the kind of backflip jump from, say, Banjo-Kazooie or Mario 64's backflip. It's just a way to kind of jump a little bit higher than you normally can by bouncing off of Yuka's tail.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. I mean, Slurp State definitely comes in handy, but
yeah.
Not having Lizard Leap at the beginning was tough. So I was like really stoked to finally have that one. Between that and being able to like not fly, but be able to grab hold of
get some extra.
Yeah,
height.
Those two, it was like I needed those.
Right.
So I was.
Yeah.
That Lizard Leap was really frustrating not to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Honestly,
weird
after
one
you get
not
the
to be as a
flying move,
basic.
I like never use it anymore. I
Yeah,
just use
same.
the fly move if I don't want to get up on anything.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
What? Real quick, it is weird that it's a later move. Like, it's not even a World 1 move. It's a World 2 move because,
right.
Again, like in Banjo-Kazooie or Mario 64, or, I think even DK64, like, you get that move either immediately or, very early on. Like,
Yeah.
it is a weird one to kind of have set back a couple worlds. But anyway,
Yeah.
it's an interesting thing.
No, it's worth pointing out for sure. I also wanted to mention that we do have a new enemy in this level, the snow minion. They're like little like Yeti looking dudes. I appreciate that kind of each world has its own little minion that is for that area or whatever. It's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Wanted to point that out. Dave, did you want to point out some of the points of interest in this level?
Sure thing. Number one is the crystalline cave. It's kind of, I always have a hard time like figuring out what place inside of it leads to what other place. But it's this cool just kind of cave area near the start, and there's some interesting things in there. A few snowmen, and I believe that's where the mini game, if you want to call it a mini game, where you have to hit the different crystals in a certain order to get a PG. That's in there. That's pretty neat. We have the Igloo Cliffs, where we see a sort of reprise of the Clara character, who,
Yes,
the
she's
undead
back.
Saberman.
And she wants you to rain down terror on poor innocent villagers.
Right.
Basically, basically wipe out an entire village.
So very accurate to, British explorers of old. Wiping out native populations is good stuff.
Jeez.
Thanks for that historical accuracy. We have Glitterglaze Lake, and I'm taking this as the big lake area kind of in the center. I feel like it's going to be divided off into different sections a little bit.
In my mind, I would love to see a map of this place, because in my mind, it's just a big horseshoe around the crystalline cave.
Right,
And the crystalline cave is kind of like a mountain protruding.
I'm not actually entirely sure.
Okay, yeah. In my head, it's like a horseshoe around the crystalline
cave. That would kind of make sense. Because I know you have the part by like all the ledges with the blowy thingies, and then you have the part where the pirate hat snowman is, and we have the little sort of movable ledges that only move when you jump off them, and the blowy things. I'm trying to picture how that all connects together, but I think a horseshoe might be pretty accurate.
You guys are talking about like a map. Like, it makes me wonder, why the heck is there not a strategy guide for this game? Like, I feel like these kind of games usually go really well with those.
I feel like,
I mean, it's probably just being kind of a low skill thing. So, kind of a shame
Yeah.
that no one wanted to partner with them and do that.
And
Or
I'm
just
surprised it wasn't a
pay
Kickstarter
someone
goal.
to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and or just Team 17 doesn't just kind of subcontract that out to.
Right.
Is Prima still around? I don't know, but that was kind of the de facto guide maker.
Yeah,
in the
Maybe
they love
Nintendo
doing
will
that.
do an official strategy guide for the Switch version.
I
That'd
doubt
make
it.
me so happy.
Doubt it. But yeah, that would have been a great stretch goal, like something physical, like besides
Yeah.
the game.
Oh, I would
that
have
would
loved
been.
that.
Yeah, I totally would have thrown money at that. But nonetheless, it doesn't exist. So
Yeah,
we'll just
no.
have
Very
to
sad. Maybe
find
one
someone
day.
who makes one online. Yeah.
The next point of interest that's listed here is the Frozen Path, and I'm
I
trying to
have
figure.
no idea what that is.
Me
Is that-
either.
Oh,
The
I think I
inside-
know.
is
It's
that the
probably the one that
interior?
goes up to the castle.
Yeah, that's the one that goes up. Yeah. That's
Okay,
gotta
that's what I was
see.
talking about earlier when you do the lizard serp state thing.
Yep.
right.
Okay, yeah, you go into an interior cave that's doesn't require a load zone, so it's kind of nice. It connects two sides of the world, and you lick the fireplace, and then you stand in another one to light it.
Oh, okay. I think Dave was talking about something different. But
Oh,
No.
that's what
no,
I
you're
assumed.
probably right though, because you're right.
'Cause
That's a
you're
different
frozen.
location.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're right. It's
And
all
it's-
cold, and you have to warm the place up.
and it is a little bit of a winding path.
Yeah, you're right. That's
yeah.
what that is. That's what that is.
Okay,
That would make sense. More sense than because I was thinking it was the kind of the big uphill path that takes you to the isometric palace.
oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah,
But
it could be
yeah,
that though.
but that's
the other
but that
one-
part is located in the lake area. So
Yeah,
what you're talking about, Jeff, actually makes sense because it's a separate area.
Why
Okay.
isn't the
Oh.
isometric palace as a key interest on here?
Well, it was on there. I moved it down to when we talk about the expanded. So we'll get to that here
Cool.
soon. So, next thing I wanted to talk about is the transformation for this level, which is the snowplow,
boo.
which was something. All right, hold off on the hate just yet. And yeah, this is one we already kind of knew about. We had seen video of it before, release, and so we already kind of saw it coming. Jeff, it sounds like you have some sort of opinion on this transformation. Would you like to share with us?
Well, yeah. Okay, so this one's an interesting one because I don't really dislike it in and of itself. It's kind of fun to just drive around the snow and plow down those snow piles with the snowman's hats in them. But this thing, the controls are pretty flawed in my opinion. It has an extremely wide turning radius, and it does not back up. So that wouldn't really be too big of a problem, but it requires to get to some of the places you need to get as the snowplow, you have to do some kind of finessed platforming, which is just not a realistic expectation for this big giant transformation that doesn't control super well.
Yeah.
You kind of have some narrow platforms, and you have to kind of get up to a ledge and angle yourself at the right direction. And if you are just off by a little bit and you try to straighten out, your thing just goes forward and turns, and you end up usually falling off. At least for me.
I didn't have any issues. I think you need to get good, Jeff.
Snap.
Dang.
I fell off. I think I fell off like once during the whole time I had the truck. I think it was
Nah,
that
I
bad.
fell off like 4 or 5 times.
Same, and I
At
usually
least.
fell into the water, which meant I had to go back and retransform.
Yep.
It was a pain in the ass.
I don't know.
Yep.
I didn't think it was that. Maybe I just got really lucky. Maybe I was just on a roll and I made all the jumps. Because I think the only one I had a problem with was when I had to figure out how to get him to that sort of upper area where the Clara was. And I
Mhm.
missed that jump the first time because I wasn't sure exactly how I was supposed to do it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, my frustration with this was that, so I was collecting all the hats for the snowmen, and I found, I think, the majority of them, but I was still missing a couple. And for whatever reason, I was like, I'll come back to it later and finish it. And so I, left the level and moved on. And then when I came back later, I realized they were all missing their hats. And so I realized that it doesn't save that. And so I have to go back and do it all again.
Oh, that's
And
annoying.
I just haven't brought myself to transform back into that thing and go, redo all that stuff again. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it was unfortunate, but I probably should have known better. So, if only this game had a normal save feature, that probably would have been avoided. But I don't know, maybe even if you save it still, unless you get them all in one go, you kind of have to do it over. I don't know, but
Yeah, I'm not sure on
I
that.
don't know if those count as normal items or if they're sort of, reset every time you re-enter the level or not.
I guess the only thing I want to add about the snowplow is I just appreciate that even though the platforming's rough in this, I do think the jump on it was pretty decent. Like I feel like it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I can think of that was okay. So
Yeah. One thing I was a little disappointed in, which is completely aesthetic, is that it doesn't leave snow tracks like as it drives through the snow. I thought that was kind of, I don't know, I just feel like for 2017 that seems like an odd omission.
yeah, like we've been doing that for years now.
Yeah.
Even if they only last for like 3 seconds and then they disappear.
Right.
At least, we've been doing that since like what, PlayStation maybe? I don't know.
It feels like it. I don't know. I mean, you just think of, there's no snow levels in Nuts and Bolts, but like the tire marks with the skid marks, like
Right.
those last for a really long time. I actually did a test one time to see when they would start disappearing, and it takes a lot. So, I don't know. Odd omission.
You love your details, don't you,
I
Jeff?
do. I'm obsessed with them, and that's kind of what this team has always been known for. So,
True. Yeah, that's a fair point.
just really quick little side note is a comment that Chris Seaver made on the Conquer development diary video that he's kind of the series that he did on YouTube, is that, when you can tell the level of detail a team was able to put into a game when you run a character into a wall and they put their arms up and kind of, like act natural,
Right.
and in Conquer's Bad Fur Day, he does that. In Nuts and Bolts, Banjo does that when you push him against a wall. In this game, the run animation just keeps going. So it's again clear that they didn't have the time to put in those little details. So
Right.
hopefully something they'll either do with the expansion or the DLC or the patch.
Yeah. Could add some of that stuff. Definitely. All right. Next up to discuss is Rextro for this level. The game for this level that Rextro provides is called Glaciators, which is a interesting combination of the word glacier and gladiators, I believe.
What?
Yeah. It's a little stretch, but it works. Glaciators.
Glaciators.
And so this one, for those of you who don't remember, it's kind of a combat driven challenge where you are basically they just keep dropping minions down upon you as you're trying to collect was it the quills?
Yeah, just quills.
Yeah, and in a time limit, and then the floor continues to kind of drop out from underneath of you in certain areas. And then if you drop down in there, you can't jump in this, I think. And so you have to kind of stay down there until it brings you back up. And every time you get hit, you drop quills. And I think that's honestly like worse than, I think I read that you lose more than you can gain back. So it's like more important to keep yourself from getting hit than like risking going for them. Yeah.
That's so true.
So, I don't know about you guys, but this one was fine. Probably a little bit better than the first one. Definitely, I would say probably easier. I didn't really see anyone complaining about this one per se. I think I knocked both of the challenges out in one sitting without a whole lot of trouble.
Ditto.
What about you guys? Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it better than probably any of the other ones in the game. I think it was just the most doable. It wasn't asking too much.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Definitely.
It wasn't as
It was my
frustrating.
favorite one, too.
Yeah. One thing I thought was interesting, which is just purely coincidental, is how similar it looks and behaves to that new mode in Rocket League, where the floor is hexagonal shaped and drops out. I just thought that was kind of a weird coincidence, but
Yeah,
I don't know. Not super relevant, just kind of funny.
definitely. So that was that. Pretty self-explanatory. The next one was I want to talk about Kartos and his level, his minecart challenge. This was actually the first minecart one that I did.
Yes.
Same.
Because you don't have to expand to get to him on this one, right?
Correct, yeah.
Right. And so I think it was I think probably a lot of people, it worked that way, where they didn't expand the first level and came here and found him. And so it was kind of my first taste with it, and wasn't terrible. I think I maybe had to redo it once or twice, and I was able to get it. It wasn't overly tough. I feel like it wasn't till the third level that I feel like Karta's challenge really kind of boosted. I don't know about you guys. Did any of you struggle with this one?
Just a little bit, probably once or twice, but I
Right.
didn't like the camera angle initially. I didn't really like how the controls are limited, because you have like a boost and a brake, and they're both mapped to the stick, and they're a little finicky, and they both have a cooldown period. I didn't really appreciate that.
Right. And if any of you have listened to any of our previous episodes, you've heard Jeff say those exact words right there.
It's true.
And I enjoyed it. Well, not initially because I was so confused by how different it was, but after I figured out about how to boost, how to brake, and what I was actually supposed to be doing, and that getting hit by enemies didn't kill me, and figured out the basic mechanics, I thought it was really fun. And I enjoyed pretty much all of them except for the World 4 one, which can burn in a fire.
All right.
That's me.
I think it's also worth noting, I missed this at the beginning, but actually, yeah. So in order to gain entry to Glitterglaze Glacier, you must have 3 pages, and you need 5 to expand it later on. 3 it's a pretty small number, actually.
Yeah.
You could just barely scratch the surface of the first level before you can technically move on to the next one, which I thought was interesting. There are 25 pages total on this level, and 200 quills total to be collected. I might sound like a hypocrite, but I don't even think I have all of the pages yet for this level. I need to go back and finish it, but I've gotten distracted with some other things in the game, and so once you do expand this world, you do unlock Gloomy Gem Grotto, I think, and Isometric Palace, as we kind of briefly touched on. So I figured we could go ahead and kind of talk about those real quick. Either of you guys want to, discuss it? Bring it up.
Gloomy Gem Grotto was a bit of a frustrating point initially. I died a lot in that section. In that part, it's a pretty much completely pitch black cave, and you use the slurp state to make Yooka glow as essentially like a flashlight. And then you have to kind of use your reptile roll to go across different platforms, and it's a bit tricky.
It's a learning curve.
Yeah.
I died.
It was very frustrating, and I died a lot.
It was all near the start.
Yeah.
Do you know kind of that first one where you kind of have to roll to the right in the dark?
Around.
Or
Yeah.
if you go too slowly, it goes out, so you can't see the path.
Mm-hmm.
And it just took me forever to get down exactly what I had to do to get past that.
Yeah.
After I got past that point, though, I think I only died maybe 2 or 3 times in the rest of it, and it was not, I don't think, quite as bad as I know a lot of people have been like really trashing it online, saying this was just too frustrating, it was too hard.
Yeah. I wish it had a checkpoint, but it was
I'd done in like Donkey Kong 64 or Banjo-Tooie.
But it's another one also that, like the boss fight in World 1 that we talked about last week, can be completely cheesed by using the flight move once you learn that and you come back.
I had not even thought about that.
So, again, another thing where I don't know if that's a conscious choice by the designers or just a design flaw, but you can completely bypass it by using the flight move later on.
See, I don't think like the difficulty is going to be even an issue at all. Then, if that's the case, if you don't have the skills to do it, just wait till you get that move and come back later.
Right. I mean, you don't know that at first, but yeah, it's true.
Right. So I almost wonder if that is a design choice, because I know they did mention that they wanted this one to be easier for people to beat. So maybe it is sort of like, hey, you trudged through this far, now this makes it a lot easier to go back and get the ones you don't have the skills to do. I don't know.
Maybe.
It'd
Yeah,
be interesting to see some sort of post-mortem interviews with the Platonic guys and hear about some of their thought process of the final details.
Post-mortem,
like they're dead?
No.
So you're going to murder them and then interview them?
No, I mean, like, when you do, like, sort of a post-mortem of, like, something that you did, like a game, and you determine what you did wrong, determine what you did
Never heard it used in that context.
Oh, I have before, so maybe
Okay. all I think of is like after somebody's dead.
Yeah.
Post-mortem.
Oh yeah, it's used in politics a lot too. They'll do a post-mortem of what particular party did or did wrong and form a plan from there.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Maybe I'm getting terms mixed up, but there's entirely another one that I just confused it with, and I'm an idiot. Very real possibility.
Fair enough. What about the isometric palace? And this was something that was kind of interesting. I wasn't necessarily expecting, the expanded area to be something like this. What about you guys?
It was very surprising to me that was the world expansion, but in a good way. I think it kind of gave me hope that there was more creative ways to expand a world than just literally making it bigger, like in the first one. That was because that's what I expected the whole game to do.
Yeah,
I really liked the isometric palace. I think very cleverly done. It was a really nice throwback. It's got kind of some puzzly elements to it, some fun little tricks and challenges, and also there's a certain thing that we'll talk about next in there that pertains to fighting a big, large thing. So I don't know. I didn't have any really objections to it. God, I can't talk today. But yeah, I don't think I had any qualms with it. At first I thought, oh man, I'm going to get lost like I do in Night Lore and not remember. But I was able to kind of map the layout in my head pretty easily, and it doesn't branch off a lot. It's pretty linear depending on which path you take from the first room. Some of them kind of loop, but other than that, it's not too bad. You don't ever end up thinking, okay, I need to make a note to go back to this room because there's another door there that goes a different direction that goes somewhere else. Like, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. I guess my only complaint with the isometric palace, as I've been saying it wrong, and I think Kev hit on this with his initial thoughts on that episode. The only thing I didn't like about this was that I got all the way to the end of this isometric palace, and I realized there was something I couldn't do. There was a puzzle with moving the laser or the light, redirecting the light to melt the block or whatever, and I couldn't do it. I didn't have the ability to do it, and so I had to leave, and I had to come back later. And so normally I don't mind coming back later with new moves to do things, but to get back there, it was like it had been a while when I finally returned, and so just trying to remember not only like where to go, but then you get to a certain part of the palace where you actually have to memorize, a certain order in which you go through the doors.
Play, do you know the trick to that?
What's the trick to that?
Use sonar on the open path.
What?
Use your sonar move on each path, and it'll tell you if it's wrong or not.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
You don't have to memorize it.
I completely guessed right off the bat, and I got like the first two right, and then after that, I messed up the third one, but then after I got the third one, I got the last two right, so it was just a really weird coincidence.
Huh.
Yeah, it was just dumb luck.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. Yeah, so that was a little annoying, but other than that, I didn't mind it. This is where the location in which you find a couple of new characters, but the big one being the boss for this level, which is Breeze Block, I guess is how you would pronounce him.
Yeah,
and a little bit of I think I remember Jeff saying not necessarily our most favorite boss.
Yeah.
It was a little bit of a joke, I think, but. I did die once, so I will give it that. But I think it was just because I wasn't really. I think I thought that I wasn't doing it right, and because he just kept getting smaller and smaller, and I was like, clearly I'm supposed to be doing something else, and so I was like screwing around and ended up dying. But
it took a lot of hits, and I didn't understand what the little ice blocks behind him were or how to get rid of them, which I learned later. You can use your sonar blast. And apparently then you can light torches and it makes the whole thing easier. But I was hitting him with just straight up fire breath from Yooka, and it took forever. It takes so many hits that way.
yeah.
So, yeah, and like you said, he
that's
just
what
gets
I did.
smaller and smaller. You don't really kind of feel, because it's very subtle, so you don't really feel the progression
Right.
until he gets a bit smaller.
Yeah. But Yeah, so that's him.
He's just gonna say I think that he's annoying, kind of, but I think that assuming you don't cheat in the first boss with the fly move, I still think he's the easiest boss to beat as is. My opinion.
Huh.
I didn't find him very difficult
Yeah.
at all.
He really wasn't that tough.
No, it's
yeah.
Yeah, I actually battled against World 5 boss today, and I walked away, dude. I walked away. I was like, I can't do this.
I rage quit the first time.
I hadn't hit rage quit level, but I did quit because it was like, I don't have time for this. This is frustrating, and I'm going to get super pissed off if I keep going at this. So.
Good for you. I should have done that. I did eventually beat it, but we'll talk about that when we get to World 5.
Yeah. So, as far as some of the later bosses goes, definitely was a lot easier. You also meet Bernie here.
Yeah.
He's in the Isometric Palace, right?
He should have been the Democratic nominee.
Yes, good old.
Make
good old
America
Bernie.
hot again.
Ha ha ha.
Woo!
And,
Okay.
yeah, so that's kind of cool. You cool him off, and you take him. You go inside of him and do some things, and so that was cool. You also meet another character in there, Tubbs, good old Tubbs, and that was kind of a cool.
Solving his little thing was took me a while to figure out, because essentially you have to fart in him.
Yep.
But without
mouth.
without like kind of holding down, because there's an underwater move where you essentially fart a bubble around you, which in the earlier trailers a fart sound would play. I guess I would assume the ESRB made them take that out because it doesn't happen in the game. But yeah, it and when they refer to it in the dialogue, you can tell that they altered it from fart, because some characters reference it as if it was a fart, but others, or Yooka-Laylee, kind of make it more sound like a belch.
Right.
I'd honestly forgot all about that. That used to be a fart, but yeah, now I remember that old footage.
Yep.
Huh.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else you guys wanted to mention about either of those two expanded areas of there?
Nah, I think we kind of covered it pretty well.
Okay. All right. Well, the last thing I wanted to do is I have a list here of all of the pages in the game, so I figured we could kind of not go through each one by one, but maybe just hit on some of our favorites and kind of, or least favorites even, the things that frustrated us, and just kind of hit some of those before we wrap up this episode. So, yeah.
Alrighty, so with that, we'll jump into the pages and just kind of go over a few of our favorites. Real quick, Clay did have to jet, so we'll just kind of go back and forth between Dave and I and kind of wrap up the episode from there. So from here, we'll just kind of pick a few highlights. It's kind of an interesting thing to do without just kind of reading down the list, but one of them, let's say for example, early on, there's a cage in the crystalline caves that we touched on this earlier. Basically, you've got these gems that you have to hit with your sonar thing, and I had completely forgotten about the sonar blast thing, or the sonar shot.
I had no idea how to do this.
So I hit those things with everything, and I was about to walk away, and luckily Mandy, my wife, for anybody who hasn't listened to earlier episodes, she was like, "Why are you walking away? You gotta solve that and get the thing." And I was like, "I can't figure it out." She goes, "Try all your moves." So I finally just sat and did each button, and then finally the sonar shot registered, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm an idiot."
I think I literally, a little bit different, but I think I actually nicked the sonar button by accident when I was walking by it once after giving up, and then I was like, "What? What did I just do?"
Oh man.
Oh, sonar. That makes
That's
perfect
funny.
sense. Why didn't I think of that?
Yeah, I hardly use that move at all in the game.
Right, I know. At the times you do need it, it's always surprising. I got better later on, I think, especially after that experience, and especially after the thing I mentioned before, the isometric tower, about that one puzzle being super easy when you use the sonar on it. And I started to realize, hey, I need to start just throwing out sonar randomly when I get stuck and just see if anything sticks. And
Yeah.
It started to be helpful later on.
Yeah. Let's see, what's another good pagey?
We already briefly talked about the one where you help Clara, the skeleton explorer. You smash all the igloos, but I don't think there's that much more to say about that. But kind of nice that a character from a previous level is starting to show up again, which I thought that was cool. That a couple of them are kind of like recurring characters.
Yeah, it was nice to see them revisit them, and that there was a new relationship between Clara and the pot, because obviously the pot was trying to kill her, but she was about to be killed within it in the first world, and then by the second world they're friends. So
if they had Facebooks, their relationship status would be it's complicated.
Yeah, that it would be. Let's see. We already talked about the maze room in the isometric palace. Let's see. Another one. Another interesting one was there was a room in the isometric palace where it's a little bit dark. Well, it's pretty dark, and you've got the glowing slurp state thing, and you kind of go through the room. You swim across water, and then you jump up on a platform on the right side of the room, and there's a pagey and a cagey.
Oh, right.
And this one, you just talk to him, and suddenly there's a quiz, which I thought was ingenious, because the quiz is literally just about the room you just swam through. And of course, I don't know why anybody would examine the room when they see the cagey there. So as you get to him, he kind of asks you how many floating barrels, how many drains are there on the floor, how many columns are on the back wall, like things like that, like questions about the room. So it was pretty cool little, again, another nod back to the olden games with the quizzes, although there are quizzes within this game in like the main world. But yeah, I really liked this one. It was cool.
I was kind of disappointed there was no like master quiz in the game. I mean, they were all fairly short and easy.
Oh, I see. Yeah, kind of as big as Grunty's. Yeah. I didn't mind having it broken up. It made it a little bit more bearable, and especially, which we can kind of discuss maybe a little bit later, but we can kind of touch on now, it's that some of the questions pertain to like your save file, like how many pages you have or how much playtime and things like that. And it was like, oh, I have absolutely no idea, especially once you start spending pages or quills and you don't know how many you've collected in total without having to hit the pause menu, which I just never thought to do because I never knew when the quizzes were coming. But anyway, within this world, you just have to notice that there's like 7 torches or 5 vents or 5 floating barrels, etc., etc. So, yeah, that was actually a pretty cool, clever one.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I think I messed up quite a few times, but at the end of the day, it's just a matter of lighting yourself up, looking around, making note, and trying to remember as best you can, and eventually you'll get it.
Yep.
Alright, what else do we got? There's the one. I'm gonna read through these. Remember this one. It's a long hallway with spiked walls. Leads to a pagey. I don't really remember this one. Do you remember this one, Jeff?
Not with spiked walls. Let's see. Yeah, I don't remember that one specifically, not at least how it's described here.
Ice one of the door below. Why are you using the ice key? Yeah, I don't remember that one enough to talk about it. So let's do another one.
Okay. Let's see. We already talked about 19, 20.
Another page you located at the start of the level. Yeah, this is great. We're just reading through a list on the air. So
yeah.
There's a lot of pages in these games. 25 per level.
There was an interesting one a little bit further down, where you had to kind of buddy slam the floor to make a path to push a block.
That one frustrated me.
I thought that was kind of clever.
What I needed to do at the end.
Oh, I can't remember why I buddy slammed, but I figured it out pretty quickly. But I can imagine like there's really not a whole lot to explain to you what to do, I don't think.
Well, are you talking about when you push the ice block and you have to have the furnace on first?
Yeah. Oh, did you not have the furnace on?
That one I got that I was supposed to pound the floor right away because there's a clear visual line of blue tile going all the way. So I thought that was obvious, but I had no idea what the point of getting it to over there was because the furnace wasn't on yet.
Gotcha. I think I did the furnace pretty early on. I think you hit
believe it or not, I
early
actually
on.
missed one of the doors, and I went through it several times and missed the same door multiple times. I didn't even know about that whole other part of the furnace.
Gotcha.
And I was like, where are all these pages in this level? And I finally just like found it by accident, and then I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did the furnace, like one of the last things I did. The furnace and the arcade machine and everything in that area. It was like the last part. I did.
Gotcha. That's a bummer because yeah, you do need it a couple times.
Yeah.
But oh well.
Oh well.
Let's see. One other page, just right off the top of my head, I'm not even looking at the list. Was there's like a little cave kind of off to the side near where Dr. Puzz is, and you have to jump on platforms. Every time you jump on one, the next one starts moving. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. And I expanded the world, and I can't remember. I may just not have gotten to it before I expanded, but it was after I expanded the world, so I already had the fly move. Right. So I kept trying to skip this section just by flying to the end, but the KG wouldn't open, and I was like, what the hell? Like, so I went back and I did the platforms, and you have to jump on all 4 of them to open the KG. And it's one of those weird ones where it doesn't specifically seem obvious what you need to do or why you would just, just jumping on the platforms would open it. But it was an interesting challenge. It was different.
I think that was one of the first ones I got in the level, if I'm thinking right.
Oh, okay. I guess I just didn't go over there.
Yeah. I know there's definitely that flying cheat doesn't work in all situations.
No.
Not at all.
All right, well, go ahead and pick one more that you can think of, either off the top of your head or from this list that you liked.
Yeah,
and
a lot of these we've just sort of
wrap
like
it up.
Talk to them by proxy by everything else we talked about.
Right, exactly.
That's what's making it hard. You already talked about arcade.
Yep.
Big hallway.
I will say that the one...
talked about the snowman. Dang, that was like one of the biggest ones.
The which one?
The snowman one. We had to get all the hats.
Oh, we've talked about that one twice already.
That one. I'm trying to think of one I'm honestly lost to come up with one.
Number 17 is one that I really liked just because of the look. There was like, I don't know if it was stained glass windows, but there was windows with light shining in, and there were just really cool shadows.
There's a lot of that in the whole isometric palace. I'm looking at number 17. I'm trying to remember which one this was.
Okay. If you don't remember it, you probably haven't done it yet.
I thought I got most of them in the palace.
It's literally a stretched hallway with windows and cool.
Oh, yeah, I remember this one. Continually sliding walls. Like I was picturing something different, like them coming out the side.
I just liked, like I said, the aesthetic of that one. The challenge wasn't really that hard, and it was pretty easy to get
one was cool.
over. But it just looked cool. Anyway.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you have any more? Do you want to talk about?
No, that's pretty much it. I think we kind of covered the highlights, and we obviously covered several more than we realized.
It's true.
So, alrighty. Well, with that, then we can wrap up. Unless you want to do a quick final thought on World 2. We've discussed it.
I think most of my final thoughts were probably summed up in the opening, but yeah, just say love the music, love the look. I think it's my favorite level in the game. Isometric Palace is awesome, and you should play it.
Yep. And I'll just say ditto that because that's basically what I feel. It's a great level. And so with that, thank you all for tuning in as always. And you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram, just at Rare and Friends. And we appreciate any reviews you give us, or thumbs up, subscriptions, likes. It always helps just kind of get it out there to more people that might be looking for something in this space. So thank you all for your support, and we hope to have you all back again for another episode. Take care, everybody.